Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Judith Obazile, aka Miss J, and this is my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for taking our time to actually join me here. I really do appreciate it a lot. If this is your first time here, please definitely and certainly do not make it your last time here, because I will always love to see you here, like every single time. And to every returning viewer, to every returning family member, thank you so much for always coming through and for always showing up. I really do appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Okay, so today I would actually be talking about a very interesting, wonderful, amazing film, which is Fatherhood. By the way, I heard today is actually Father's Day, as in today, 20th June 2022, and I think it's actually even been celebrated since the previous day, which was on the 19th. But all the same, I hope it's not too late to actually wish you, if you are a father, I hope it's not too late to wish you a happy Father's Day. And to every expectant father, to every intending father, to every future father, to every single father, to every mother also playing the role of a father, to every sibling also playing the role of a father, I wish you happy Father's Day. And I pray this Father's Day will not be your last Father's Day, and may God give you the grace to uphold his ways in your home and your family, in Jesus' mighty name. And brethren says amen. All right, so today I would actually be talking about a very movie that I find so interesting, which is Fatherhood. And this one was actually released last year, 2021. And although it did not really, it actually had a few critics here and there, but either ways, I do not think those critics could actually in any way outweigh how nice this movie is, because it actually had a very good reception. Like, it was really received well. Most people actually still made good comments about the movie, and I am certainly one of those people. I remember when I was actually watching this movie, a friend of mine came into the room and was like, what movie is that? Then I said it's actually Fatherhood, and it has Kevin Hart in it. And when I said that, I was like, oh, that would definitely be a good movie. And I said, yes, that is how you know a good actor. And that is so true, because this movie actually stars really amazing people, and Kevin Hart is actually one of them. So he actually played the role of Matthew Logelin, who was the father to Maddy Logelin. So I'll just quickly run through the lists of the cast. So, like I said, Kevin Hart, who played the role of Matthew Logelin, shortened as Matt. Oh my, Matt. Then we have Hurd, who played the role of Maddy Logelin. We have Alfre Woodard, who played the role of Marion. We have Howery, who played the role of Jordan. We have DeWanda as Lizzie Swan, Anthony Carrigan as Oscar, Paul Reiser as Howard, Deborah Ayorinde as Liz Logelin, and we have Tanisha Collins as Miss Burns, Frankie Faison as Mike. So these are actually the major characters of the movie Fatherhood. So Kevin Hart actually really, well, I say, surprised me in this movie. Why? Because most times when you see Kevin Hart, literally all the time, it's always for a comedy movie, like comic. It just brings that comic relief into a movie. So even if the movie is a very serious action movie, once you see Kevin Hart, and then it's actually just there for the comic relief, right? And there's no movie you will see Kevin Hart featured in that you would not laugh. Trust me, if you've been having a really bad day or bad time, just pick any of Kevin Hart's movie, and once you watch it, trust me, you are set to have a good laugh, honestly speaking. So yes, I recommend that whenever you want to laugh, just watch any of his movie. Okay, so this movie, actually, his role in this movie was actually really different, because although there was still the comic side, definitely there will always be the comic side to Kevin Hart, okay, but it was still more of something different. He played the role of a character that I think every single viewer would definitely sympathize with, would definitely show empathy, sympathy, and all that. All right, and it was a role that is very, very will I say emotional, a very emotional role. So I actually remember when I watched an interview, I think this was sometimes last year, when I watched an interview we had with Jaden Smith and Willow Smith. I think there was another actress, there's another actress that also does the interview with them. So it's actually Red Table Talk. That's the name of the show, yeah. The name of the show. Okay, so they actually invite celebrities, they ask them questions, interviews pertaining their personal life, career, and all those stuff. So they had him around that day, and I know they asked him a question about this movie, because then I think it was around the period when the movie was just being the movie was released, like the trailer was released recently at that time. So they asked him about it, and then there was also like a scandal about him cheating on his wife and all that. So they just brought up the whole thing, everything together. So having to play that role of a father to his kids, like in reality now, and dealing with all those scandals, the celebrity life and all that, and how he's able to manage that, to play this role as well. So one thing I definitely remember is the fact that I said it's been a very personal one for him, and now especially being that he did not really get to experience that fatherly will I say role also in his own life. So he had a father, yes, but his father wasn't so much available. So it's one thing to be there, it's another thing to be actually present. It's another thing for your presence to be felt, right? So he didn't really get to feel that fatherly love and all that from his own father. So having to now be a good father and also play this role of a father in this movie was a very personal and, let's say, emotional one for him. So the movie just kind of like brought back memories of his own struggles of trying to be a good father. And really, this movie is something I think every parent, both single parent and non-single parent, will be able to really I say relate with, because it just tells a lot about parenting, about parenthood, precise. Not, I think it's even far beyond fatherhood, but also being a good parent to your child. All right. So yes, every parent I think will be able to really, really relate with this. Okay, so I would quickly just run through this story. So the movie is actually just about a couple who were expecting their first child, but unfortunately there were complications after the birth of the child, and his wife died. So he had to put up with being a single parent, raising a child alone, who happened to be a girl. Yeah, so he had to raise their daughter alone, and it was a very big, very, very big emotional roller coaster for him, Matt. And that is because he had to do with quite a number of things. He had work, even though his boss was really being lenient with him to take time off, but so he wanted to just prove that he could, just handle things and all that. So it was really, really stressful and tiring for him, because he had to handle work alongside taking care of his child. So, doing all those parents stuff, going to the daycare, going to the groceries, and whenever he went out with her in public and she's always crying, he always gets this, where's her mom, where's her mom, where's her mom, where's her mom. So the thing always just got him tired and really, really frustrated. So there was a really big part of sexism in it and all that, so he had to deal with that as well. Then even the emotional side to it, because there are times where he felt like, okay, he was really doing so well, and there were times when he felt like he wasn't really doing as much as he wanted to do, okay, as much as is expected to do. So everything was just muddled up, then coupled with the fact that he was still trying to grieve over his wife Liz. So it was just a mix up of so many feelings here and there, and then he was also trying to move on, like to get into something serious, a relationship with someone else. But then the whole fatherhood experience, grieving and everything was just, getting intertwined with each other and, just affecting him in one way or the other. All right. But the movie actually, it ended in a very, will I say, nice, nice way, and it was a good one. Everything went the way it did. All right, so I actually have a few lessons which I picked up or picked out from the movie, and the first thing is actually respect your child's opinion, respect your child when choosing a partner, and that is actually for a single parent. So when you want to actually choose a partner, you should actually respect your child, and that is by actually informing them, or like doing like a formal introduction of your child and your intending or prospective partner. All right, so you should actually respect it. So don't just feel like it's your right to have the power to just bring anyone and just tell them, hey, I'm getting married to this person. So before you actually get to that point of marriage, while you're still dating, let your child actually be aware that you are building something with someone else. So you carry your child or children along, and it's also important for your child or children and your intending partner to actually have a good relationship with each other and a good bond, because if they do not, trust me, it would actually affect your own relationship with the person. All right, and like in this case of fatherhood, it was a good thing Maddy and Swan were actually able to bond, because it really affected Matt at some point, because that was when she had an accident in school, and he missed several calls from the school authorities to come get her from the hospital, like just inform him that something was wrong. So by the time he got to know, he was really scared, and at that point he just felt that the relationship was being like a distraction to him. So eventually he actually broke up with Swan, that is the person he was in a relationship with. But thankfully, Swan and his daughter Maddy actually had a very good relationship, because that was actually what restored or resurrected their relationship. Else, I feel it would have just ended that way, and it wouldn't have been a good thing, because he really actually needed to, move on. Although initially Maddy did not like the idea of her father dating, but I think afterwards, thanks to Swan, because I think Swan also handled the situation in a very nice way, so that made Maddy feel really relaxed, and they just really clicked so easily. And it's very necessary, because if your partner and your child do not, it will definitely affect your relationship with your intending partner. Because I remember this movie, Are We There Yet? I don't know if you've seen it. Those kids actually made life a living hell for every single man that wanted to be with their mom. Like, they literally just frustrated the person and made the person just get to the point where he says, I am no longer interested. Again, but this last man, this young guy, I think I've forgotten his name, but if you've watched The Barber Shop, you would actually know the person I'm talking about, who was like one of the, I think, the major barber in that barber's shop, okay? But anyways, they actually intended to do the same thing, like just frustrate this guy, and they just made him seem like he could never do anything wrong. I mean, do anything right, especially when it comes to taking care of them in the presence of their mom, okay? But they tried so hard, but anyways, they failed. But eventually, they actually got to like the guy. I think they actually liked him right from time. It's just that they didn't want anyone taking the place of their father, or just coming to, separate them from their mom or something. So to them, they were actually being a bit protective of their mom and all that, but they were doing it in a very, very wrong and terrible way, okay? But eventually, the guy, succeeded in winning in this case, and they all moved on and all that. But Maddy actually made things very easy for Swan, okay? So she made things easy for them to bond, because they really bonded easily, honestly. And thankfully, that restored the relationship with her and her dad, that is with Swan and her dad. Right, and another point I have here is to actually give love a chance again, because it was really difficult for Matt to let go of Liz. Definitely, it's not easy to just let go of a loved one you've lost, or it might not even be in the case of death. It could be probably from a terrible breakup, but whatever it might be, it's best to always give love a chance, because when you don't do that, you'd actually be obstructing or preventing other people or good people from coming into your life. Okay, so you should actually try. Yeah, I know it might not be really easy, but just give it a shot and just try again. Let love lead. All right, so give love a chance again, right? Then I also have here that friends. I think for a while, most of the movies I've been talking about, one of the things I get to talk about is friends, having good friends, and that is because this cannot be overemphasized. Having good friends, supportive friends is very, very important and necessary, because times when you're down, times when it seems like you really don't know what to do, when it seems like you're confused or something, they're always there for you, all right, to just help you, to just keep you going, like a support system. So you actually really do need good friends if you do not have one in your life, all right? So, and Matt actually really had very good friends, Oscar and Howard, even though the both of them were really weird in their own way, especially Oscar. That guy is so weird. But I think they were really, really, supportive, because it was even Oscar that, hooked Matt up with Swan, and, things eventually worked out. So it's important to actually have good and supportive friends in your life. And then another point I actually have here is family. Family is very, very important, even though some of them can be, some of them could actually be quite problematic. I know some family members could be very, very dramatic and unbearing, but then again, family cannot be, I don't know the words to actually use, like, seriously, but family is very, very, very important. Now, in Fatherhood, in this case, Matt and Lizzie's mom, that is Marion, they were never really in good terms at all, and it even became worse at the point where after Liz died, because Marion was really concerned about the upbringing and well-being of Maddy, okay, and she just felt like Matt couldn't do it. In fact, everyone actually felt like Matt couldn't bring her up all, but especially Lizzie's mom, okay, so she always just felt like Matt would forget one thing, or wouldn't just be very, very good at doing that, okay, so they were always at odd heads, like they were always having arguments. And I remember one time when he took Maddy to their place for her birthday, that is for her 50th birthday or so. So they were having some argument. That was because he noticed that they had changed Lizzie's room. So he just felt like they were taking away everything about Lizzie from him, like erasing her memory totally. But so they had an argument about that, and Matt was like, we are nothing in common, like we have nothing in common. And when he left out of anger, her husband was like, you both really do have a lot in common. So, but they were always agreeing. But I think after a while, because truth is, we always disagree to agree, right? So after quite a number of hitches here and there, arguments, they finally actually agreed on certain things. And when he came back to get Maddy, that was after he was supposed to go for a business trip from on behalf of his company alongside with Oscar. But at that point in time, he was really missing Maddy. And after he saw some fatherly love, parent love events at the airport there, he had flashbacks of how we really struggled to bring up Maddy, and it was like, nah, we've been through, okay, he didn't actually say that, but that was just like the expression on his face, like, no, we've been through a lot together, right? So he immediately just ran back to Marion's place, that is Maddy's grandparents' place, to get her. And so at that point, him and Lizzie's mom actually eventually, agreed. So they hugged, and let me say, she literally just gave him her blessings. She just gave them her blessings, and they went back to their own house. So eventually, yeah, they agreed. So I think her death, actually, that is Lizzie's death, was actually helped to make their relationship get better. That is her mother, the relationship between her mother and Matt. So her death actually helped in that, or her absence actually helped in that aspect, okay, because they became, closer, yeah. And okay, another thing I have here is to actually, now I think this is majorly for the partner of any single parent, to actually not rush things. And I think anyone in such position shouldn't immediately just try to begin to play that role of a father or mother. All right, I think you should first of all try to be a friend to this child. Try to get to know the child, get to know what they like, or what he or she likes or dislikes and all that. Okay. Now, even though it might not go so easy with the way it did for Maddy and Swan, but just keep calm about it. Don't push it, don't rush it. Just be very calm about it, because if you immediately come to try to occupy that position of a father or a mother, it's like you are wiping out their memories of someone they truly love, right? So sometimes you might actually be doing it from a very innocent, angle or something, but it might not be really perceived that way, all right? So in order to prevent or avoid any sort of, disagreements or conflict, it's best to just, take things really slow, and don't rush it, like I said. Also, don't just try to be forceful about things. Just keep calm, do things smoothly, all right, and just take it one step at a time. Then lastly here, what I have is, what's second to last is to actually, for you to never, ever doubt yourself, never doubt your strength, never doubt your abilities. Because in this movie, truth is, no one just believed that Matt would be able to raise his daughter up all by himself. No one ever expected it, okay? So, because they were always like, no, don't do it. She has to move over, let her grandmother take care of her. Now, there were just so many conflicts about that particular issue, especially at the point of Lizzie's funeral, okay? So they really wanted him to either move to his hometown, that is where his mom stays, as well as Lizzie's parents, okay? Or they just have someone stay there with him, like stay back in his house. And that was actually one thing Marion actually wanted. So she either wanted him to move back to his hometown, or she stays there for like 6 months. But he disagreed. Even from work, his boss actually wanted him to take little time off, like for as long as he wanted, but he disagreed, okay? His friends too were like of the opinion that maybe he should just leave Maddy for either his mom or Lizzie's parents, so they could raise her, but he disagreed. So he just felt that he could raise Maddy up. Even at some point, he was beginning to think that he wasn't doing so well. But for me, if I'm to actually rate his skills as a single parent over 10, I think I'll probably give him a 9.9 or probably just 10, because he actually really did well. Although I think there was a little fault in the fact that he raised her up to kind of become a tomboy, because in her school dressing, she always wore jeans, which was for the male student, rather than wearing skirts, okay, which sort of made especially the male students, to always or other children majorly, to always, mock her or something. And the day she actually wore skirts, she didn't know how to compose herself, like closing your legs and all that. So she was still behaving like a boy, climbing stuff, and her underwear, which was boxers, was showing. And even when they went to the store, that was her and her father, Matt, to get stuff, so he was like, would you get this? So I was actually holding female undies, but she was like, no, she wants this one, which is male undies, okay? So I think the school principal actually made mention of that I should make her know that she has the option to wear female clothing, okay? So to an extent, but I think throughout the movie, she actually did not wear trousers or skirt. She was, dresses, like gowns or skirts. She was always on jeans throughout. So he actually raised her up sort of like a tomboy, like a boy. So she kind of became a bit tomboyish, sort of, to an extent. But apart from that, I think in every other aspect, he really did so well, and I would definitely applaud him for that. Woo! Okay, then another thing is to actually be mindful of what our children are watching, what they're listening to, and all that. Okay, because at some point, when he initially met Swan, so she introduced herself as an animator of a cartoon, as an animator. So she mentioned a cartoon which she has actually done, and I was like, oh, Maddy watched it, like Maddy loves that, and she was like, you don't? And I said no. So there was a statement she made that made him give this look like, is that something I should be worried about? So there was the next scene where him alongside Maddy and Howard were watching this particular cartoon. Then they got to the point where they were about to take off their clothes. And he nearly turned it off. But Maddy is like, why did you turn that off? And they were about to wrestle. Then Matt is like, no, you don't need to see that kind of wrestling. So she was still kind of arguing, and Howard was trying to like give her a neat, clean explanation of what they were about to do, but Matt was like, don't do that. Okay, so I think it's actually, as funny as that might have seemed, it actually shows that Matt did not really know what she has been watching all along, right? So, but I think it's very important for us to be very, very mindful of what our kids are watching these days, because everywhere is so littered, everywhere. The internet, books, cartoons, like cartoons are no longer what they used to be those days, like no. Even books, story books. So we really have to be very, very mindful of what our kids are watching. All right, what they're listening to, their friends, and all of that. Okay, so I really do hope, rather, that everything I've said here really, 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 will I say, yeah, made sense. Especially the part of not ever doubting yourself is very important, because even when others might not believe in you or believe in what you're about to do or something, just keep it going, keep believing in yourself, and keep doing what it is you're doing best. All right, do not ever doubt yourself or look down on yourself. Never. Okay. All right, so thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate that a whole lot. So till we meet again, I still remain Judith Obazele, aka Miss J, and do not forget, ever, don't you ever forget that I love you, but God loves you best. Bye.
Damn.